Shamara.
Oh, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Are you guys still doing virtual from home stuff or are you back to school?
Back to school. We had delayed start yesterday and today,
Oh, yeah.
but
When it's real early and icy. Yeah, give it a chance to melt a little bit.
after like tomorrow it'll be normal.
Awesome. Okay, good. That's good to hear.
How are you guys doing out there?
Pretty good. Yeah, the roads are a lot better now, so yeah. So yeah, it's definitely getting better. We had just a little bit of snow this weekend, but not too shabby. So well, thinking about our last session, what were some of the things that you felt like were working well?
Last session we started reading the initial narration
Yeah,
of my husband's book.
right.
So I was happy that we finally kind of got started with that.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. I think it was really good to go ahead and just dive into that and get it going. So, yeah, I think that was awesome. Um, What were some of the key things that stuck with you that were like tips and tricks that you were like, I gotta remember this?
um, Between narrator and characters talked. We talked about trying to be a little bit slower and not speaking too quickly. So I was trying to do that. Breathing through the nose. I think we gave that a try to help slow down
Yeah.
the
Did you feel
scene.
like that helped with the kind of slowing everything down?
I'm going to be honest. I felt like maybe it's just because I'm new and I'm thinking about a
Sure.
billion things. I just felt like it was hard for me to think about what I should be doing with my
Yeah.
voice and remember how to breathe properly.
Yeah.
And be slow and to try to, pay attention to the words like cold and drizzly and this and that.
Right.
It just
Just so many
I don't
things that
know.
you're thinking about at once that it's a little overwhelming. Well,
Yeah,
the
but
idea
I'm
is
sure over
that
time
we
it
work
would be
on
more
it and then
natural.
it'll start to
And I'll just
become
try to keep
habit.
it in mind, like when I'm taking a pause to try to breathe through my nose.
Yeah, so I would say let's focus on one thing at a time. So pick one of those new thoughts at a time and focus in on just that particular thing. So like I'm just going to focus on the breathing in through the nose and sending air through the mouth. And then the next time through, I'm just going to focus on another thing. So pick one individual thing that you're focusing on so that it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to do five new things at once. And then you just get really overwhelmed and it's very frustrating. So we don't want that. We don't want it to be overwhelming and like, now I'm doing worse than ever. So those little incremental things, and then hopefully as we keep practicing those things, they're gonna sort of compound and build up, and you'll have a new sort of habit that you'll gather. Um, so do you want to pick the same section, go back over that, or do you want to try a new section of the book today?
Um, I don't know. Let's start with the same section,
Yeah,
if that's
okay, great.
okay. I'm still trying to kind of develop like what I want it to sound like. I listened to a couple of other like audiobooks. I just wanted to
Yeah,
hear, the difference in tonality,
right.
and
Yeah.
so I thought it was interesting. I'm like, I think I can tell now when it's not a real person, which and it's not really.
Right. Yeah, from studying it and listening, now it's
Yes.
pretty obvious. I get the
Yeah,
same way. I kind of like instantly know, and I'm like, ugh, when it's an AI reader, I'm just like, no.
sound writer. It seems like the person doesn't understand words fully.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. So, we actually were doing a little bit of that last time in the session where we were thinking about what are the key important words, what are the action words, what are the descriptive words, and putting more of that feeling behind them. And so, yeah, that is a really good key giveaway. That's like, we hear that, like you said, they don't understand what the word means. So they're just pronouncing it. They're not putting any of that attitude behind it. So those strong points of view make a big difference in the expressive quality. Yeah, and I would say even for something that is a little more dry, something educational, a chemistry textbook, I still want it to have some kind of personality because otherwise it's going to make it even more boring, you know? So I want them to have some energy in it and understand the meaning and be like, this is fascinating. This happens, and get me engaged in it. So I definitely feel like having that human energy and the different points of view really does help. So I agree. That's a really good key giveaway. I also think some of the inflection and pacing. So sometimes they will just kind of do everything the same speed, for instance, and then the pauses are just very uniform. And then with a human, we might do a more long dramatic pause, or we might slow down for a certain section, or we might soften the voice and get a little more whispery or airy, and then we'll maybe kind of be punchy in another point. So there are a lot of things that really can give it away, and I think all of those human aspects are not something that a computer really can duplicate very well. Because how many thousands of takes can a person give, and it's very dependent on the context, right? So yeah, so I'll like start to listen and I'm like, uh-oh, this one's AI, and it's like, ugh, and I can't stick with it.
I feel like my husband's chat GPT, like the speaking part of it is actually so good. But clearly
Yeah.
that they're not using that same level of
Hmm.
voice in
Yeah.
books. The audiobooks seem to be more generic.
I think part of it is that, so I've talked to people who have done training a particular AI voice system, like for a car, for instance, like a car navigation system. And they worked literally for 6 months training that, and it's all giving car directions. And it actually ended up sounding pretty good because I was like, oh, can I hear some of what you had done? And they like showed me what some of the samples of what it would sound like would be. And I actually felt like that turned out okay because they literally were working on this full time, 6 months straight, and it was just this one program. It's the same topic, right? The whole time. And if it's like a warning, you could hear it in their voice, like, look out for this, or, you know, watch for the stop sign. But if it's, notice the brick building on your left, things like that, it was more positive. And so, with that, it worked really well. I think that with audiobook narration, there's way too much nuance, right? So it's like there's fantasy, there is romance, there is e-learning. We've got all these different types of things, children's books, right? And they're going to have a very different energy, a different style to them, different topics, and even like romance can have different styles. So I could have like a mafia, danger, action, adventure romance, and then I could have another that's like Hallmarky Christmas romance. And those are going to feel very, very different. And if I don't understand what kind of
Different.
energy and ambiance it needs to have, it's not going to be there. So, yeah, I think that's part of why I don't think the audiobook narration works so well so far. I feel like ChatGPT um, is like a helper, companion kind of person. So I could see them getting a little more of um, like the type of energy that they need for that. But I do think that with books, it's so variable that it's not totally clear what it's going to be. And so because there isn't as much specificity with like we need a tone and we need an energy and a pacing and a point of view, that's just a lot of layers, like emotional layers that the computer doesn't quite have. So, yeah, I agree. I've heard some that are the AI audiobook narration, and I'm just like, yikes, yikes. Like it's not always bad. It just feels emotionally disengaged to me, which is not the most fun for me to listen to. So, yeah, I'm like, I like humans. Even like if I go into a fast food restaurant and they don't have people and it's just like all like even self-checkout or whatever, if there's a person, I'm like, I'm gonna wait for the person. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, one, I want to be sure they can keep their job. And two, I also am like, I don't know, like the sensors are weird and you end up having to push the button to get help anyway. And what if you have a coupon you have to scan in or whatever? It's like I feel like you always end up calling someone over anyway. So I prefer to go to the human. I'm like, I will go to their line. But
You
yeah,
know,
so
funny meme where the woman said, you know, I she goes to a person, she said, because she doesn't work here. And I love that. She's
oh, right. She's like,
like,
I don't
I
work
don't
for
work here.
you. I don't work here.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm your customer. That's so, that's cute. I go
Yeah,
to the checkout line with the human because I don't work here.
exactly. And I was like, that is very poignant. I
It is. Yes,
yes,
it is poignant. Yes. It also has a little sass. I like
it
it.
does. And I always appreciate a little of that.
Yes, I love it. She's probably like, "Look, I just got off work. I've done my job for the day."
Even beyond that, just kind of like you said, you're like, oh, I've got to press buttons for this
It
banana.
has
And
to go in exactly the right way. I've put in like it was like a certain kind of apple, and it's like, wait a minute, that's way too expensive. What? And then,
now you're like,
and
oh,
it's like, oh,
panic.
I'm like, the apples look the same. But apparently the number was not. And I'm like, they were supposed to cost this much. Why is it saying that?
I
So
bet
I feel like it doesn't save me any time and it ends up like yelling at me because it's like, oh, your thing is falling off the sensor or something and it's weighing differently. And I'm like, oh, sorry guys. So yeah, they're very particular, those self-checkout sensors and computers. So everything has to go in just so. I've even been like, why is my payment not going through? And they're like, oh, you have to push this button first. And I'm like, oh, so I have to do that, and then I have to come over here and do this. Got it. So yeah, it's like it's a lot to keep track of.
there.
Exactly. I don't work there. I don't know how this machine works. Yeah. And then I heard that they have little people watching in cameras anyway as you self-check out. So I'm like, you're paying people anyway. So just have a human. Anyway, so yeah.
I guess
Who's
they could pay
there?
one person to watch the seven people who are,
Yeah.
bagging their own groceries.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Eh, I guess they get to work from home, maybe. I
I don't know.
guess there's that.
Our grocery store, they kind of hover while you're there. I guess
Oh,
they
okay.
try to help, if
Yeah.
you don't, there's no sticker on your fruit or whatever. Or
Oh, right. That's
yeah,
nice. So
yeah,
they're like, you just grab them. You'd be like,
yeah.
help.
They're right. They're usually like right there, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure half of it is because, well, you got to. I don't. My guess is that they lose a lot of money because how would like if organic apples are $2 and regular apples are 30 cents, like why would you put in the code for
Yeah.
organic apples?
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought of that. See, I guess I'm creative in other areas. I guess I'm not creative enough with checking out fancier apples as regular apples. I guess I see your point. But see, if they just had checkout people, that would solve that.
Well, at my store now they have codes on even the apples.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
You can just scan it and then it knows what kind
Ah,
it is, and then you just say how many you have.
brilliant. Nice.
Right.
Very
Yeah,
cool. Okay, okay.
we have a lot of friends.
They're improving the system. That's nice. All right. So, yeah, so a few things with the narration from last time. Slowing down, just as a general rule, generally a little bit more slow pacing. We also played with the difference between narration and character voices, putting a pause whenever you're shifting between. That's really helpful. And then just having those points of view. So having some kind of attitude toward or emotional connection towards what you're talking about in that moment. So let's go ahead and tackle the same spot again. I just want to see where it's at today after having worked through it. Just kind of revisiting, kind of refreshing before we move on to a new section.
That's what-
Great.
All right. Can you see? I don't know if you could see me.
I can see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the. I've got the
Oh
voice.
yeah, like when you switch screens, it's like I don't know if we're still there. Yeah, I can see you. Yes. Thank you for checking.
Okay. Um, the other thing is this is probably a dumb question, but I realized that I never really thought about it. Does the narrator say the chapter if if there's like a title
The
to the
chapter title, yeah. That's a good question. It's kind of a preference of the author. So typically when you get an audiobook narration script, they are going to um, either send you a script that is exactly the way they want it read, or they'll send you the just regular book PDF type thing, but they'll specify things. So usually we don't read things like table of contents, like copyright type things. Um, if there is a copyright thing, it's not going to be what's written in the book, like all rights reserved, blah, 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 blah. It's usually going to instead be written by this person, narrated by this person, copyright this year, production copyright this year, like print copyright this year. This is so it's a little more succinct. Um, because it's kind of wordy when you read it in there. You don't like read off who the publisher is, that kind of thing usually. Um, so usually they'll specify and say like, hey, don't read chapter one, just say the title of the chapter and then go into the words. Or sometimes they say, don't read the chapter title at all. They'll have it written in so that people can select that chapter and the chapter title. But then when they're listening, if they just keep listening, it just seamlessly flows to the next chapter. So that's going to be a preference of whoever is having you do the book. So either the publishing company or the author should tell you that. So I would just ask your husband what he prefers. There will usually be a few second, like maybe like a 1.5 to 2 second delay between chapters anyway. So even if you don't have chapter three, title of chapter, and now I'm reading the chapter itself. Even if you don't do all that process, it'll just have a little pause after the chapter ended, and then you start into the next section. So sometimes they'll have you say chapter this, the title, and then into it. Sometimes you just say chapter this, go into the main text. Sometimes they'll say don't read any of that, so it really just kind of depends. So that's a question for the author. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it just kind of depends. If I do those, I just sort of read it like a bullet point, like types of fruit. Then I pause. Apples. Pause. A common type of fruit that grows on trees. These can be red, yellow, or green. Right? So it's like a bullet point, and you just kind of pause and then you go to the next thing. So, chapter four, awakening. She arose the next morning only to find blah, 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 right? So it's just a little pause between. And so that would be how I'd address that if I was doing that.
Okay.
Great question. So let's practice it doing that, and then you'll know how. And then if you don't have to do it, you don't have to.
I think he's gonna want them because he was trying to be clever with his.
Ah, with chapter titles. I love it. Some people don't even make chapter titles anymore. They'll just do chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. And I'm like, I like the chapter titles. They just give you a little intrigue of what's to come. So I like it.
Seen it where there's like a little poem or something and before the
Right. Little poems or like quotes before you go in, just to kind of like set the mood. I agree. I think it's nice.
I'll give it a try. Hmm. Chapter one. I'm probably overthinking this. It was cold and drizzling the first time Clara died, for the first time. Rain blurred the windshield while the bus heater coughed out air that was both too hot and too damp, as if the bus were attempting to slow cook its passengers. Clara Mason, 17, and chronically sarcastic, watched a raindrop fatten at a scratch in the glass and begin its determined downward migration. She had a window seat in the middle of the bus. No one ever argued her for it, and she could see and chat to the whole bus from there. Across the aisle, Lena Torres had fallen asleep mid rant, her earbuds dangling like wilted antennae. Hooded strings knotted under her chin in a way that definitely qualified as a choking hazard. Clara reached over, loosened them with a finger, and withdrew her hand before Lena could notice. She felt obliged to consider drawing a Sharpie mustache on her best friend for the sake of morale, but decided against it. It felt too obvious, too easy.
Nice. I definitely heard you remembering and holding on to some of those things that we had changed and tweaked last time, which was very fun. How did you feel about it? I thought that was definitely improved.
I think it was better,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure.
I'm gonna keep going for
Yeah,
it.
what was maybe your favorite thing about it?
Oh gosh, you always ask me this, and I'm like, I don't know. It's really,
Was there maybe something that was really fun or satisfying about it? One of my favorite things was I really loved the way you said the descriptive words. I really felt like you were getting more of the nuance in those
I was
because he
trying.
does have a lot of really good descriptive words.
I was really trying. I was trying to remember
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, like the part about the dangling earbuds, things like that, like are very descriptive. And I'm like, oh, I like that. Yeah, it just lands really differently. So yeah, that was one of my favorite things about it. I definitely heard the slower pacing, um, going ahead and taking your time to take your breaths between phrases. Um, we had a better flow the first time you had read it, the first time in our last session. It was a little more choppy, almost like you were kind of like thinking between. And here it felt a lot more like the breath was a moment of inspiration and then it just kind of flows out of you. So that was working a lot better too. So really nice. So a lot of positives there. Good. Was there anything that you noticed or thought, I feel like I could do that better?
Um, I realized that he write like the sometimes his sentences are kind of
Mm.
strange. Like,
Ah, yeah.
and I'm just kind of like, oh gosh, like that's a mouthful, like
Right.
but I don't know if that's just a me and my mouth's just lazy or if it's
Uh,
just like, he's trying to be descriptive and paint this picture and the way he's writing, I don't, it's funny to me, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that it well, just by being from another country, right? It's like it just some of the phrasing is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that you're kind of helping with giving feedback on already, which is great. Um, but yeah, I think that
FYI, this dangling earbud thing is about to change because I noticed when I was practicing, because I
yeah,
was practicing, I told Michael, I said, in this paragraph, Clara reaches over and loosens the
like the hoodie.
well, the earbuds from the girl's ears. I guess because she's like
Mhm.
falling asleep on the bus. But then, further on along in the story, her boyfriend's sitting next to her, and he has one earbud in his ear. I'm like, does she have two earbuds or not, sir? Like so it's a little.
Oh, yeah, that's a good catch that
Mhm.
he'd be using one and she'd be using one. Oh, right. Ah, that's a really good catch. I love it.
That's the kind of stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, continuity.
Yeah.
That's a really good catch because that's really subtle. Huh. Awesome. Yeah, it's kind of like suspension of disbelief. Like, you just have to assume that something changed between that you didn't know about or.
Yeah, he's basically said like, "Oh, I wrote this part and I thought it was cute, between Clara and Lena while she was sleeping." He's like, "But then I
A
thought,
new
oh,
idea.
he threw in the boyfriend." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, he's falling asleep too, and he's got an earbud in his ear, and just didn't connect the two." So
Right. Yeah. So it was like he had the thought, this creative idea, but then didn't always connect through the ideas. Yeah. Oh, well, that's okay. I just am using that as an example of a
oh, I was
spot
just
where
saying
he's
it might
very
not be there.
descriptive, which
I
is
just told him
a
about
strength.
that today, so it might not be there tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. Hey, he'll just write something else equally good. Alrighty. So, good. So what's maybe one thing that you thought that you could potentially improve on?
Um, I honestly think that reading it a few more times over.
Yeah, I think so too. One thing I thought is, I think creating a little bit more suspense, maybe, because there are some things that are kind of like, wait, what? Um, like it's clear she's not average.
Mhm.
So maybe like at the beginning, making it feel a little more like casual and like everything's good. But then like those moments where there's something weird,
Mm,
bring those out a little bit more to kind of create that sense of like, oh, something is different here and building that suspense a little bit more.
okay, right in the beginning already. You think?
I think right at the beginning, you could make it sound a little more like everything's good, everything's happy, like all is well in the world. But then there are a few phrases where it's like, wait a minute, something is very strange and abnormal here.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of like bringing those out a little bit more and differently and being like, hey, this is weird.
I'm writing it down. Yeah.
Like, don't you have a line that's something like the first time she died?
Yeah, it's the very first sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I feel like, that line is like pretty shocking. It's like, wait, what? So that's one that I feel like I would really try to kind of like
Emphasize.
spotlight a little bit more. So any lines like that that are like, this throws a wrench into things, I feel like I would just,
Highlight.
lean into that more.
Got it. I can do that. Got it. Are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm still here. Yeah. I might do like the first time she died. Like really lean into that particular word because that I think is, it's not like when she died, blah 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 blah, but like the first time because most people don't die more than once.
That's true. Yeah. It's kind of giving you a hint as to the future there.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Great.
Did you want me to do it now?
Yeah, do it. And then go ahead and keep reading because you were saying you just wanted to try it again. So let's do that.
Okay. Chapter 1. I'm probably overthinking this. It was cold and drizzling. First time Clara died for the first time. Rain blurred the windshield while the bus heater coughed out air that was both too hot and too damp, as if the bus were attempting to slow cook its passengers. Clara Mason, 17 and chronically sarcastic, watched a raindrop fatten at a scratch in the glass and begin its determined downward migration. She had a window seat in the middle of the bus. No one ever argued her for it, and she could see and chat to the whole bus from there. Across the aisle, Lena Torres had fallen asleep mid rant, her earbuds dangling like wilted antennae. Hooded strings knotted under her chin in a way that definitely qualified as a choking hazard. Clara reached over, loosened them with a finger, and withdrew her hand before Lena could notice. She felt obliged to consider drawing a Sharpie mustache on her best friend for the sake of morale, but decided against it. It felt too obvious, too easy.
All right, nice. Okay. Yeah, it feels like, it's just like a regular day. It feels like this, it's just kind of easy breezy. But then there are these moments that are a little bit shocking. It's like, wait, what did you say? So yeah, I think that was really nice. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, I think doing it is going to, you know, I
I
don't know,
did
I'm
think
trying to find
it
like,
had more flow this time, like more smoothness to it, which I really liked.
okay.
Did you like that quality?
See, and I thought I was a little bit more choppy this time. So it's
Well, so what I would say is smooth through the phrase.
okay.
So taking the pauses, I like. Taking pauses between thoughts, I think is great. And so that might be why it feels a little choppy.
Okay.
So go ahead and take the pauses, enjoy the pauses, utilize those pauses. But then when you're in the middle of a connected thought,
Mhm.
then we're going to keep that really smooth through this is one flowing thought. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Great. So then let's do it one more time. And if you feel like it's a little bit choppy, just try to tweak that, play with that. And I would say I would like a little more because it is like YA age group, a little bit more of that like teen angsty, sassy kind of a feel, just like a sprinkling of that in there. What do you think? Can we try that?
Sure.
Okay.
Chapter 1. I'm probably overthinking this. It was cold and drizzling the first time Clara died for the first time. Rain blurred the windshield while the bus heater coughed out air that was both too hot and too damp, as if the bus were attempting to slow cook its passengers. Clara Mason, 17 and chronically sarcastic, watched a raindrop fatten at a scratch in the glass and begin its determined downward migration. She had a window seat in the middle of the bus. No one ever argued her for it, and she could see and chat to the whole bus from there. Across the aisle, Lena Torres had fallen asleep mid rant, her earbuds dangling like wilted antennae. Hoodie strings knotted under her chin in a way that definitely qualified as a choking hazard. Clara reached over, loosened them with a finger, and withdrew her hand before Lena could notice. She felt obliged to consider drawing a Sharpie mustache on her best friend for the sake of morale, but decided against it. It felt too obvious, too easy. There.
Nice. Good. All right. I liked that. I felt like there was more of that like teenage attitude. It felt too obvious, too easy. Like I think there definitely was more of that in there. Just a hint of that was really nice. Good. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think if I could have recorded that and bottled that up, that's kind of, I think, how I would want to deliver it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it. I agree. I was like, honestly, that's kind of exactly what I would expect for this particular book and genre. I think that was really nice. Awesome. Okay, so then do you want to try maybe the section after it? Like take a little chunk after that?
Sure.
Because I was very happy with that. Or do you feel like just doing it again to kind of reinforce it? Do you feel like you'll hold on to that?
I mean, I'm gonna write down the notes,
Yeah.
and I'll
Okay.
practice. I've been trying to like look at the notes and then I've been kind of like recording just kind
Mhm.
of so that I can go back and say which ones I like and what I didn't like about things. So
Yeah.
I will try to recreate that.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Good. So then, yeah, let's take just a little bit more past that and see if we can implement some of these same ideas.
Okay, right. Mateo Ortega sat beside start over. So sorry. Okay. Mateo Ortega sat beside Lena, shoulder pressed lightly to the window, head tipped back as if sleep had ambushed him mid thought. One of Lena's earbuds was still in his ear from a song they had been sharing earlier. His knee was up and propped against the seat in front of him for support. Clara clocked the configuration, filed it under overly cute but acceptable, and went back staring into the rain. Her phone buzzed once in her pocket. Clara didn't check. It was either her mother or an impending weather warning, and those were functionally the same thing. Her dad would be home already, doing something unnecessary but correct, like tightening loose screws on the porch railing, because his response to anxiety expressed itself as maintenance. And Miles, her brother, would be wherever teenagers went to practice invincibility, probably on a skateboard without a helmet, probably about to text Lowell Bus the second he heard that they were driving through the mountains during a storm event. Uh,
Awesome. Good. Yeah, I know it's tricky when it's the first time reading through a section. I did think we held on to some of those same ideas though.
Okay.
So yeah, it definitely was improved from, for instance, when we first had tried the beginning, part in the last section, the very first time we tackled that. So some of those ideas were sticking, which I'm very excited to hear, hear those things happening. Um, so what was maybe the number one thing for this first read through that kind of stood out to you?
Um, like the fact that, there are times when the narrator is kind of giving you what Clara thinks.
Yeah.
I was kind of like having to think about how to portray that. How to,
Yeah, yeah, it gives you kind of like her inner world, her perspective, her inner monologue, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it does that. Um,
So
so
when you
so
do
I
that,
think that you can kind of change your narrative voice to take on a little bit more of her attitude in those moments.
I tried, but it was like, oh, I was kind of thinking about it on
Sure,
in the
yeah.
fly.
Yeah, so we can just lean into that a little bit more, just kind of follow those instincts a little bit further. Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
Nice. Awesome. Let's try that chunk again and just like go a little bit further with it.
Okay. Mateo Ortega sat beside Lena, shoulder pressed lightly to the window, head tipped back as if sleep had ambushed him mid thought. One of Lena's earbuds was still in his ear from a song they had been sharing earlier. His knee was up and propped against the seat in front of him for support. Clara clocked the configuration, filed it under overly cute but acceptable, and went back staring into the rain. Her phone buzzed once in her pocket. Clara didn't check. It was either her mother or an impending weather warning, and those were functionally the same thing. Her dad would be home already, doing something unnecessary but correct, like tightening screws on the porch railing, because his response to anxiety expressed itself as maintenance. And Miles, her brother, would be wherever teenagers went to practice invincibility, probably on a skateboard without a helmet, probably about to text a lol bus the second he heard they were driving through the mountains during a storm event.
Awesome. Cute. Yeah. Yeah, I like the different her opinions and like perspectives on the different people in her life. That's a really good opportunity to play with those strong points of view because the way she feels about her mom, her dad, her brother, it's different for each of them, right? Her relationship to them is very contrasting and different, right? So what do you think is um how she feels towards her mom, her dad, and her brother? How would you describe her emotional perspective?
Sounds like she thinks her mom's a worrywart. And her dad also gets anxiety, but he hides it
Oh,
by
yeah.
therapy. And then
He
her
masks
brother,
it by diving into repair projects.
exactly. And then her brother pretends to be, invincible, but is caring.
Oh, yeah.
Will probably, yeah, try to make
Yeah,
out better.
right. Yeah. So she's like, eye roll. He pretends to be all macho and invincible, but he's actually sensitive and really cares, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Aw, that's sweet. Yeah. So, is she like amused by them? Is she like, oh, that's endearing? Is she annoyed by it? Those kind of things are just like thoughts that you can reflect on her attitude towards them and how she feels about the way that they handle things. But also, she's 17, so I feel like she probably is a little bit like, I can do it myself. I don't have to check in constantly. Like, I'm fine. I'm a young woman now. Don't worry about me. I feel like, she might have a little bit of that because I feel like a lot of teenagers, get to where they're like, gosh, you don't have to hover over me. I'm fine. Um, so I could see her.
A lot of adults are like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, good. So then what was maybe your favorite thing in this last section? The thing that you were like, this worked really well.
Are you there?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am. Sorry. It must have glitched when I was talking the last time. Excuse me. What was your favorite thing about this last take? The thing that you were like, oh, that was the most fun, or you felt like, oh, that worked well.
Um, I don't know. Like, I think because I had a plan, like I had read it, before that, I felt like I had a little bit more of a plan on what to do when
Nice.
they. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
part about it. Yeah.
So having already knowing what was coming, you had a plan for how to approach it. And so it doesn't like catch you off guard and you're like, wait, what's happening now? I like that. Yeah. So having that time to read ahead, know what's coming, plan out what you want to do with that section. Nice. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something you can definitely do, record one section, pause the recording, take a read through it, practice it a couple times, and then record it so that it's like, okay, I know what's happening. I have a plan. I know how I'm going to approach that section. Nice. Awesome. So from this session, what do you think is maybe the number one thing that has improved that you're like, I can definitely tell that this has gotten better?
Um, I don't know. I think that we've like established like the tone, the
Mhm.
tone that I want for the
Yeah,
voice.
I agree. Yeah, establishing the tone. I totally agree with that. And having just a little bit of her teenage attitude in there. I think that really was the like icing on the cake there. That was nice. Good. Um, so I also think the pacing is better. I think the flow is better. Those strong points of view are better. I feel like you are doing a really nice job of balancing everything where nothing is exaggerated or too much, to where it's distracting, but it is still nice and expressive. So I love that. I love the pauses that you're putting in. I think they sound intentional and like they have purpose. So I'm really loving those pauses. I think that they are very effective. So those were some things I really was enjoying that I was hearing.
Can I ask
Very
you a question?
nice. I'm curious, for the next session, maybe we could work a little bit on some dialogue. Does the book have quite a bit of dialogue, or is it more narration?
There are parts-
Yeah.
It definitely has dialogue. I just
Yeah.
have to use the section that has it.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to try because it is going to be a little bit different when we have dialogue with the characters. So I would love to look at more dialogue in our next session. What do you think?
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
have
Awesome. So,
a quick question.
yeah.
My quick question is, do you think the pace is okay? Am I going too fast or too slowly?
I actually really liked the pace. I think it is a little bit slower than what we had been doing with character voices, definitely quite a bit slower than the commercial scripts. But I feel like because it is, a YA novel. It's a little bit faster than some other genres, but and that way it keeps a youthful energy, but it still is slower than what we had been doing for characters and for commercial scripts. So I'm really liking the pacing. I think it has a little more energy to it. It's not like dragging, it keeps momentum. So I'm actually really liking the pace that we have right now. I think it works very well for this genre and this style. Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel okay to you?
Yes, I was just worried because we had talked about it needing to be a little bit slower
Mhm.
versus the commercial. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to make
yeah.
sure that I would
I definitely
slow
think
it
it
up, I
it
guess.
is a little bit slower than those. Um, and I would say them like because it's a more like youthful character, going a little bit faster on the slower narrative side. So like, kind of playing with that. I think that works really effectively. So I really like the balance and where it is now. Yeah. But good question. It is something that it takes a little time to feel out the pace. So I totally get you being like, I don't know, is this where it should be? Is it not? And being like, I need to double check that. I'm not sure. You know?
But I guess it's probably better to start off slowly and then
Yeah.
because you can always speed it up a little bit. And
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say when your default especially is to go fast, which mine is, I have to remind myself to slow down. So when I practice, I'll kind of exaggerate the slowing down because then when I perform it, I just automatically want to instinctively speed it up a little bit. And so I'll exaggerate and go a little bit slower than I ultimately want to, so that then when I go into performing mode, recording mode, then it's got, a little more speed, a little more energy to it. But because I exaggerated the slowness, I don't, run off the rails. So that's a good point. I actually do that myself. I kind of exaggerate the slowness in the practice. So, yeah. We have that in common where we just want to go faster. I would say, so I know you did a little bit of listening. A lot of audiobooks have that 5-minute sample that you don't have to purchase the whole book. Go find some contemporary YA fantasy world novels. Um, Things like Fourth Wing, the girl who's like going to dragon rider school or whatever, things like that would be good to check out. And then listen to that 5-minute sample that's just posted for free. Like you can listen to a little bit of it before you purchase it. And just find books like that, and go, okay, this is like a YA fantasy world, strong female lead. So I think those kind of books are going to be more the energy that we're wanting. So I would go just take a listen to some books in that genre, that 5-minute sample, and just kind of listen to what other people are doing. And you'll get a little more flavor for that genre. And then also what people who are listening to those kind of audiobooks are used to hearing as well. Yeah. And what's nice too is then it's just a little 5 minutes. So you can just like, if you have a little bit of time here or there, you can just be like, I'm gonna listen to a little 5-minute snippet and get a feel for that. But yeah, I think specifically this genre, I would check out books that are like very well performing audiobooks in that genre would be my recommendation and just get a feel for the vibe. Yeah. The speed, the pacing, the tone, the attitude, those kind of things. And you'll have like different characters. So you'll have a little bit of a different, flavor because of that and, just different books. But I do think that can be very helpful. So a little bit of research, listening, because you're studying your craft. So yeah. So check that out this week. A lot of good improvement today. I was very pleased with how well the things we talked about last time stuck. It was like, ooh, okay, yeah, it's sticking, it's there. So yeah, we can practice that more, but it's definitely getting there. It's coming along. You're getting more comfortable in that, I can tell. So yeah, beautiful. So keep up the good work, and I'll plan to see you next week, okay?
We're good. Take care.
Alrighty, I'll see you then. Bye, Shamara. Have a good week.